Now, a simple fix in a garage like this, where you just have maybe a light switch here, you've got electrical going to maybe your garage door opener, nothing major, you got no real outlets, is just to add an outlet. You've already got power out there, you've got no drywall, so there's really nothing to cut into. It's just adding an outlet. It's really simple, and you can save yourself hundreds by just doing it yourself, but you need to make sure you do it the right way so you don't have an accident. So stick with me and I'll show you how to get it done the right way. Now, code in most locations requires a GFCI in the garage. Now, check your local code. It may be a little bit different. There might be some other things required as well. The nice thing about a GFCI is if you do have a ground fault, or maybe there's water in your garage or something like that, this is going to trip and you're going to avoid a major accident or maybe your garage disappearing. Now, to do this, you only really need a few things. For me, I've got a hammer. This isn't necessary if you have an old work box versus a new work box. I have open studs here, so I'm going to use a new work box, and I need a hammer to drive the nails in. Now, you're going to need some Romex. 12-2 is going to be your best option. You don't want to go with anything smaller for an outlet here, but the Romex needs to be at least rated for the same size as the actual circuit. So just get yourself 12-2 and you'll be fine. You're going to need your GFCI, a switch plate or wire strippers, a screwdriver of some sort, and then I really like these Klein. And then down here, we've got some wire nuts. And then maybe if you have to drill through if you have to drill through the studs or any kind of wood, you want a drill as well. Now, at this point, you can turn off the power. I'm going to wait till I connect this up before I actually turn off the power, because that way my light works in the garage. I can do all this without shutting off the power as long as I don't hook it up. Now, first we're going to locate where we want our outlet box to be. I want it above the shelf. I don't want to have to reach down if I'm plugging something in. I want to be able to plug in maybe a charger or something like that for the batteries in the garage. So I'm going to go right above here. Now, there's no drywall here, but I'm going to go ahead and use these. So all I need to do is push this up against there. One thing you can do if you want before you actually install this and put this in place is feed your Romex in, and it will make things a little bit easier. Just because I'm going to have to go right down through here, and I don't want it way up here. So I can feed the Romex through in the box, and then that'll make life just a little bit easier. Put it kind of where you're going to be here. So I'm going to feed it through the bottom because the Romex is going to feed up through the bottom. Now, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to drill my hole and feed my Romex down. And again, this is just because the box is right here, so it makes it a little bit easier. I'm not going to be able to drill that out if I get the box installed. All you need is a hole that'll fit through your Romex. This is just 1 1/4. You can go smaller. And I've got plenty of Romex here. I've got extra. I definitely don't want to be short. That would be really irritating. But we're through. Now we'll just take our box, figure out where we want it, and again, line it up with these. That's usually the simplest way. It doesn't have to be, but I feel like that's the easiest way to go. Put it whatever height you want it to be, and just take your hammer. All right, so now what we want to do is we just want to cut our Romex back. If you got a knife, it's a good idea. Otherwise, you can use your wire strippers for this. But we want to do a light cut here, back about 6 inches. It doesn't have to be hard. Just cut through that initial Romex. Then we're going to pull that back. We do not want to cut the wires on the inside, so don't push real hard. We're just going to pull that back like that. At this point, you can kind of pull back a little bit if you need more. Cut this off. All right, so now we've given ourselves plenty of room, but we want to strip these wires back. Now, simple way to do that, it's going to be about 1/2 inch, but what you can do is take your outlet, and there should be a gauge on it right here. I'll tell you about exactly where you want to strip it back to. So you can put it on there like that, pull it back, and then use your wire strippers here. You want to use the right size wire. So this is 12 gauge wire. Now I'm going to go all the way to my fingers here. So we're just going to clamp down on the wire and then pull it straight off. We do not want to twist our wire cutters back and forth, as it could damage the copper. Now I'll go to the other. Again, same thing. Put it up to your gauge like that. Doesn't have to be perfect. Set your fingers. put it right there. And again, we're not turning it. We're just going to pull straight off like that because we do not want to scrape up the copper here. We don't want to start cutting into the copper. Now, GFCIs are going to be a little bit different than your standard outlet. You have a line and you have a load. The line connection is from your power source. The load is going to be downstream outlets. So if you're going to add another outlet to this in the future, it's going to be on the load side. The power coming in is going to be on the line side. That's all you need to remember. And we've got two sides. We've got a silver screw and we have a gold screw. The gold screw is going to be for the power. Silver screw is going to be for the neutral. In this case, I don't have any downstream outlets, so I'm only attaching to the line side. This is going to be a backstab, but it's not the same as your standard backstab. This will be one of the only times you can do it. So white here is going to be on the silver side. So we're going to push this in like this. We're going to push that all the way in till no copper is showing. If you got a little copper showing, it's okay, but you want to make sure this is pushed all the way in. Now take your screwdriver, just tighten this down so it's good and tight. Then the hot is going to go on the back here, and it'll tell you hot or neutral. This one says hot and white, but it's not a big deal. Take the hot, again, all the way in until no copper is showing, and make sure these are unscrewed. Otherwise, you won't be able to get it in. Then just tighten this down. We've got our ground here, and some people like to do this first, doesn't really matter, but this also has the same kind of clamp down feature there. So just unhook that. If it doesn't, you will need to make a hook on this. Then just push this in like this, and then again, take your screwdriver, just tighten this down, and you'll know when it's tight. All right, and then so pull this back a little bit because we do want to leave some extra wire in the box. I'm going to go back and forth here just because I don't want to crimp my wires at all. I like to kind of go back and forth. Now you can just put your faceplate on and hope you haven't dropped one of the screws. All right, so down here is the existing power I'm going to hook into. But before I do that, I'm actually going to staple this wire, or you can do whatever. These are nice things here you necessarily have to do. You can remove that as well. Check your local code, they may require this, just depends. But it's a good idea, that way you don't snag it, and you don't want to snag the wire. I'm going to give myself some extra room, but I'm going to cut this back a little bit because I want to have plenty of room to go into the box, but I am going to cut it back a little bit. Again, splice this back about 6 inches. Again, you're just cutting that top piece. You don't want to cut the wires on the inside. Now, we don't have a gauge, but again, it's going to be about 1/2 inch. Now, next we want to open this box up. Before we do that, let's shut our power off. Now, if there's only one circuit, quick way to look is look around, see if there's power. Right here, I see my opener has no power. My switch doesn't do anything. Got no power anywhere else. You could also take an outlet tester here if you got one. Again, not required. Plug it in here. If you got another outlet, you can see I got no power there. So now what I want to do is I want to connect up to the power source coming from the breaker. So I know this here is going up to the switch, but there's no ground connected there. This is going to a dead switch, and right here you can see, I know it's tough to see, but I've got coming through the wall, I've got the white here and black here. So as you can see, I've got 3 black connections here, 3 whites here, and then I've got the ground right here. So what I want to do is I want to tie into this one. So these 3 here is what I want to tie into for the new outlet. Now, you really don't want to feed that Romex right through there. So I'm going to pop out one of these pieces on the side here and go through there. Now, if you can run this through an existing hole on the top, that's great. If you have to make a new one, which I did, you're going to need a cable clamp. You're either going to need one of these plastic ones or one of these metal ones. It really just depends I'm going to use a plastic one. Outside, you could definitely use the metal one like you have here. But in this case, we'll use the plastic one. So wiring first, what I like to do, just opens up like that. And I want this piece on the outside. Now, this is going to protect your wire from getting cut on the edges here. Again, you should have one. That one does not. And we will fix that later, but not in this video. So let's feed that through like there. And now just tie into each one. So here I've got white. Take this off. If you have some lineman pliers, it's a good idea to twist these. I do not have any on me, but it helps to twist those together. But whoever did this did not originally do that. So you can always do this too. Tightens them up a little bit. And you want to twist this until all the wires start twisting. So it gets tight. Now we can push that back. Just do the same thing with the black and the ground. Now I can just push these all back in there. Again, there's a lot in this junction box, so you could add a new junction box if you need to. Again, pay attention to what your code states, because this is packed. All right, now we're wired up down here. Let's go ahead and turn our power back on and we'll see if it works. All right, so now you can see our power's on, but we also have a light on our GFCI. Now, of course, you can take your plug in there. It's tamper resistant. This is off, so let's reset it. And there you go. You can see everything's good there. All right, guys, as always, thanks for watching. If this saved you some time, consider a super thanks. That's kind of what helps keep the channel going, allows me to keep making videos. But as always, catch you on the next one.